Nashville, Tennessee, known as Music City, USA, but it's not only the country music capital anymore, it could be turning into the roofying capital. People being drugged. There are so many reports on social media, especially TikTok, people going to Nashville to have a good time and they end up getting roofied. I spoke with a ton of city officials and also with victims who have had it happen to them. One couple, Caitlin and Kyle, they were going out for Kyle's birthday and they couldn't believe what happened next. Just kind of walk me through what happened that night.
Do you want to say what you remember and then I'll
start.
ad lib?
Yeah.
So we were going out for my birthday, something that she's planned for a while. She takes a lot of pride in surprising me for my birthdays and she always does a good job. So we went to a restaurant first and we had our dinner and we went back to the hotel and kind of changed and got ready to go. And we got there about 9 o'clock.
Yeah, I think we got there around 9:30 is when we got there.
So we got there about 9:30 to the bar we were at, and I had one drink, and then we moved from one spot of the bar to the next where the live band for the house band was starting to play.
And the reason we picked this place is because everybody was talking about how bad Broadway had gotten, how most of the druggings were in Broadway. So we chose a place in Midtown, which was more of a local area close to Vanderbilt. That's also where our hotel was, because we had gotten a hotel that night because we're like, it was my idea to get the hotel because we had a sitter. It was honestly our first night ever really staying downtown, just the two of us too. So we were excited and I said, let's just go here, more low key, closer to our hotel. I've heard a lot of bad things about Broadway right now. I'd rather be safe rather than sorry, because he's like, he loves to go out and I'm like, ooh, I do not. I'll stay home. I'd rather just have a fire, stay here. But anyways, so we moved to the main area.
Yeah, so the house band was starting to play because the previous band, they just did their last song. So we moved and then I went up and got a drink again, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and so we were talking to two girls, they were in graduate school. And I went up, grabbed these drinks, came back. I drank mine and accidentally, she had just a little bit of hers.
Yeah.
And I accidentally knocked it out of her hands. But that was the drink that was the last thing I remember, was that drink. And I'm thinking she slightly got drugged a little bit because of how relaxed she was based off of the rest of the story. Talking to people that I don't remember talking to,
he was flirting with girls in front of me, and then I kind of tapped his shoulder and he kind of turned and he was like, oh yeah, this is my wife. Oh yeah. And the girls, the color drained from their face. And normally I'm not very calm, cool, and collected about, normally that would push me over the edge.
Yeah,
I'd be
of course.
We're gone. We're leaving, let's go. But I was just very calm, cool, and collected. And then he just I noticed a change in him. He just was very just not himself. He kept leaving and coming back, and then he went to the bath. He said he was going to the bathroom and he was going to get us another drink, and he came back and he looked at me and he's like, we have got to go now.
What's the last thing you remember?
I remember talking to those girls with her, and then
and we were just
I do remember saying, it was almost like I had a moment of clarity where I was like, we need to leave now.
But there was probably 30 minutes between that moment and we need to leave now. That was gone from his memory.
And after that, you don't remember anything?
Nothing until the next day.
At 9:30 a.m. So that was 11-hour gap.
So
yeah.
How would you describe his behavior with everything he forgets?
So when we left we left the bar, and I actually lost him in the bar. Like, he sped off, and I like couldn't find him, and then probably for like 2 minutes, and then it's like the seas parted, and I saw him, and I was like, oh, okay, there he is. Okay, so then we cashed out, we left, and he wanted to go to his favorite place across the street where he likes to get like his grub after, like, this was like a college place.
Like a taco place.
Yeah, and it's like gross, but whatever. It was his birthday. So we go there, and he all of a sudden gets really angry and basically tells him I'm ruining his night. Like, he can't believe I made him leave this bar. It's his birthday, and I'm super selfish for doing this. And I was just like, wait, what? And then so we decide, I'm like, okay, let's just go. Let's get some food. Obviously, you've had too much to drink, because in my mind, I'm not thinking, oh, you've been drugged. Like, I'm just thinking, like, maybe you were ripping shots and told me you were going to the bathroom. But that's not like him either. Like, he's not the type of person who just sneaks off and, like, we don't do this. We never go out. So
yeah, if I were going to do that, I would bring one back and be like, we're going to a shot. It's my birthday.
Yeah.
And I'm not, why would I hide it, you know?
And so we get into the restaurant, and he goes to the bathroom, and somebody from behind the bar was like, hey, you can't use the bathroom unless you're a paying customer. And I was like, we're going to order food. I was like, he just has to go to the bathroom. So he comes out, and my bathroom is out of order. And he's like, did you not go? And I was like, no. I said, it's out of order. And he's like, well, just use the guys. And I was like, the guys is gross. Like, the guys is gross. I'm sorry, it is. And he flipped. He was like, oh, so you think you're better than me? I was like, no, that's not what I'm saying. And he's like, I said, but it's a big bathroom. Like, what if somebody walks in? And he goes, oh, so you're saying I can't protect you? I said, that's not what I'm saying. And he storms out of the restaurant, and I follow after him, and he just starts walking. And it's the middle of winter. It's probably like 20 degrees this night. Like, it was super cold. He doesn't have a coat. I had a coat, thankfully, but he doesn't have a coat. All he has on is a flannel. And so we're walking, and he has us walk probably 20 minutes. Was it a mile? To our hotel. And we walk across this parking lot, and there's a group of people coming towards us. And I hold on to him, and I got really scared because a big group of people walking towards us. And he made a comment, like, about how he can protect me, and everyone just kind of like looked at him. I was like, oh, okay.
But like, I was loud about it. Like,
very loud. And it's not like him. Like, Kyle's very calm, cool, and collected. He doesn't really get angry. I would say, like, our dynamic is Kyle, everybody who knows us knows how much Kyle loves me, and he would never, like, talk down to me or treat me the way that he was treating me that night. So for me, I was just like, okay, I don't know what's going on. So we're walking down the street, and I had bought him new shoes for his birthday. And he looks at me, and he's like, you're just a really selfish. And I was like, okay, well, why? And he goes, you would think by now you would know my shoe size, but you don't, because you are so selfish, and you make everything about you, and just like being so mean, like calling me the most derogatory names, and then he starts trying to walk into oncoming traffic right in front of our hotel. And I grab him, and he gets mad at me. He's like, what? Let him hit me. They'll stop. I don't care. And so...
Back to the shoe thing. I said I was swimming in these things, and they are my shoe size.
Yeah. So
like, they fit me perfectly, and I wear them all the time. Like, she did a good job, but anything...
Out of his mind. Like, just completely, like, anything that he could throw in my face to, like, be mean, or, like, things that wouldn't even make sense. Like, we got back to our hotel room. He told me I was ruining his night. He started to kind of get violent with me. And I just, like, shut down. Like, I was just completely, like, shutting down. Because, A, I was afraid the cops are going to be called. We don't know what's going to happen if the cops are called because of how he's acting. But still, in my mind, I'm so naive to drugs and things like that. I did not think that this is how people act when they get drugged. I don't think like, oh, they're going to be violent. I'm thinking like, you're incoherent, you're slurring your words, you're passed out. But he, like, there's pictures that we took that night, and you can see, there's a picture we took that you can see that he's not the person that's sitting here. Like, it was like I describe it as the lights were on and nobody was home. Like, I was talking to him, but he was not there while I was talking to him. And at one point he told me, we're packing our stuff, we're driving home, 30 minutes to our house. So I start packing, he goes to use the bathroom. He comes back out and he's like, oh, so you think you're gonna leave me? You're packing your stuff? And I'm like, no, I don't know what's going on. And so finally I had kind of gotten him calmed down. I mean, it was very scary, like to the point where like there are things that he doesn't even know that have happened that night because it's just so traumatic for me. I haven't even like dove into that night just because it was so scary. I didn't even know who he was as a person that night. And he even woke up at probably like 6 a.m. and he was still out of his mind. Like, he had gone to the shower and I had just dozed off because I could not fall asleep not knowing if he was going to wake up. That's where my mind was. I'm like, is he going to choke on his puke? Because in my head I thought, he's just drunk. Like, maybe he just drank something bad and something he doesn't agree with. So I had just dozed off and I wake up to like this pounding sound. And it's always a running joke because our kids are up at like 6 a.m. at the latest every morning. And so I thought that a kid was slamming a door. And I like reach over and I'm like, oh, we can't get away from anybody's kids on this trip. Just trying to make light of the situation. And I reach over and he's gone. And I still hear the pounding. And so I open the bathroom door. It's complete pitch black in there and he's pounding his head against the shower. And I grab him, I put my hand behind his head and I'm like, get out now. What are you doing? Calm down. He was trying to like leave the hotel room. He wanted to leave. He didn't want to be there. I convinced him to go back to sleep. And then he woke up 3 hours later. And it's like, he woke up and you could see like he was back. It was like a completely different person. And he told me he woke up. Well, you can say how you felt when you woke up.
Yeah, now I'm back to where I remember.
Yeah. So how did you feel when you woke up?
I woke up and I felt like I got hit by a train. Like, I had this headache that was just throbbing. And then she started to ask me questions like,
I asked you who were those girls that you were talking to?
Yeah, and I said, what do you mean, those 2 graduate girls? And she's like, no, like the 3 girls you were flirting with. And I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, we just talked to those girls and then they left. And I was like, I guess I don't know what happened after that.
So I kept bringing it. I was like, do you remember walking across the street to get food? He was like, no. And I said, do you remember making us walk back to our hotel? He said, no. And I would just like, well, and then I apologized because at one point I was just so helpless that I smacked him across the face to see if it would like bring him back to life because it was just so scary. And I said, I'm so sorry that I smacked you across the face. Like, that was so wrong. In no way, shape, or form should I have ever done that to you. And he was like, you what? And I said, well, never mind. If you don't remember, then we'll just leave that in the past. Like, we don't have to talk about that. And you could just see like the wheels were turning. And then at one point I had like stuck my hand down his throat to see if he would throw up. And like, he didn't even react. Like,
I can't even brush my teeth without gagging.
And like,
so for her to have like,
my
throat hurt for a week because she had fake nails.
I did. But I was just trying to like figure out anything I could to bring him back. And I was relaying all of this information to him and you could just see like,
I was trying my hardest to think about like what happened last night. Like, and then I was like, how bad did it get?
Like, how different was this from just like being drunk?
I mean, I don't remember a thing. I've never blacked out, but like we can split a bottle of wine or, 2 drinks each and then maybe a seltzer after that. And
I would say
so like, it's not like we don't drink or it's not like we drink a lot, but we can handle what we do drink. And we've never got to the point where we don't remember what happened the night before. And for me to only have 2 drinks while out and then forgetting everything, there's no other explanation than...
When did you realize, oh my gosh, I was drugged?
Well, by the time we got to the elevator to leave, this was within the hour of me waking up.
Yeah.
And I was crying. I was bawling. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I believe I was drugged because I don't remember a thing.
He had asked me, he was like, because I had admitted that I had smacked him across the face, and he goes, did I do anything to you? And I said, yeah. And he goes, was it bad? And I said, and I couldn't even answer him. And so then he started, because we were going to spend the day together because that was his actual birthday, was the following day. And we just came home because we both were just, I think we both were just in shock. And then we have a friend who's a nurse practitioner who came and gave him an IV of like vitamins and things like that to kind of help flush it out of his system. But yeah, that, I would say probably by 10 o'clock is when you realized that you think that you, like, there's no other explanation except for that he had been drugged that night.
Do you have any idea who did it?
No.
No.
No. Like so many people in these situations attack the bartenders, but looking back on that situation, I don't think it was the bartenders, because we had literally all female bartenders who were like smaller than me, young, like there was no men behind the bar. There was a ton of people around the bar. So I don't think it was any of the bar staff. I don't think it was anybody in that circumstance, because like, I mean, they were so busy. There was just, and they were women. Like, I don't see, I mean, not that women don't do that, you know, but still, like, it was not, I don't think it was a bartender. And I could not pinpoint one person that I thought was acting weird or looked out of the ordinary.
And so your drink spilled.
I took a sip.
But if you had drank more of it, I mean, what do you think would have happened that night?
We both could have been in the same predicament.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, like, I get very emotional because, like, just seeing how he was, he could have woke up and been in jail. A lot of the people that I've talked to that, like, their spouse has gotten drugged or they've gotten drugged together, like, I've seen a lot of, somebody said, like, this girl was kidnapped and her husband woke up behind the alley and needed 3 doses of Narcan to, like, revive him, and she was nowhere to be found. You know, you just think of, like, the worst case scenario, because what they're doing is they're drugging both so that you're both incoherent. He can't fight back. I'm basically non-existent at that point, and then they'll just rob him and kidnap me as part of, like, a trafficking thing, is what a lot of people have said is they think is going on. So
scary.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's very
wild
scary
to look back and think about how not me I actually was. I don't know, it is scary.
Yeah.
Do you think people think, oh, Nashville, this wouldn't happen in Nashville? This is in Vegas, this is in Miami.
I think more people are thinking, it's a very common thing now, and people are speaking out a lot more about it. So I do believe Nashville is on the radar as a place you need to be safe.
It's so common, like, it is so common. And that is kind of what makes me so mad, is now it is so common and they're still not doing anything about it. Nashville is growing so much, and every weekend I'm seeing on this Nashville girls group, I was here and I think my friend and I were drugged. I was here, I was there, and you know, for me, when this happened to Kyle, you know, we called the place and we explained our situation, and they weren't willing to help us. Like, the bar was not willing to give us anything. They told me, you have to have a subpoena from the courts to be able to see this camera footage. And that comes with a positive drug test. Well, guess what? These drugs are out of your system in 12 hours, basically. So he got a drug test 24 hours later, but by that point, there was nothing in his system. So
Sorry, and some of these street drugs that they're going to use now aren't showing up on the panels that they use at the hospitals. Like our local hospital that we used,
they only
they're
show
not equipped
No.
to test for all sorts of drugs. They only have like the main.
I don't even think they
like,
can show like
7.
methamphetamines. Like I think they just can show like the cocaine, marijuana, like those kind of drugs. It wasn't even like a panel that could show if you had anything in your system. And then to get a hair follicle test, you're going to spend $1,000. And at that point, it's like, we're going to spend all this money for what? To find out who did it, and then spend thousands of dollars on legal fees to pursue legal action when that's going to go on for years. And to have a voice in this situation, it feels basically impossible. It feels like everybody's protecting. You know, you're living in a community where you're not protected, and they're protecting these owners of these establishments because why? Like
The
why?
money that they bring in,
Yeah.
you know, is more beneficial to the city than protecting the people who live here or the tourists that come here. I mean, if this were to continue, how much longer is this going to be a major tourist spot if nobody feels safe enough to come here? So, I mean, I believe more needs to be done. More of a collaboration between the city departments
I mean, a lot
and
of
the bars.
A lot of the hospitals, you can't even get a drug test. You can't walk into a hospital around here without a police report, or they can refuse to give you a drug test. It's at the provider's discretion at most hospitals around here. So unless you come in with, I've been assaulted or sexually assaulted, or I'm a victim in this way, they won't treat you like any. And sometimes if you're a tourist, they don't even have to give you a drug test because they're like, oh, you're a tourist, you're just drunk, or they're not treating this as serious.
Did you feel like anyone took you seriously when you came forward?
No.
We did a police report, but
They didn't
it's
even-
almost like, yeah, we've had our wild nights too type of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I know what drunk would be like, and I know what not remembering a single thing and getting to the point that I got to. There's a complete difference there. I'm not gonna show up to a police department, you know, saying I got too drunk and.
Yeah. I mean, Kyle's a very honest person, and I'm a very honest person. And if he would have just been drunk that night, he would have woke up and been like, I am so sorry. This is what happened. I won't let that happen again. But it was like the life drained from his face when I was reliving these moments with him, because he had no recollection. And even just we're two parents, you know, we're young, we have young kids, we never get to do this. It's not like we're out on these streets every weekend crying wolf saying that this is happening all the time. Like, we're business owners, we're good people. We honestly, like, we didn't even want justice per se. We just wanted to find out what happened that night. We weren't gonna, very unlikely we were gonna pursue legal action, because it was just one of those things where we did not want to not know what had happened. It was very traumatizing. Even being in that area now is very triggering for me. It's very hard to be. We really haven't had a date night in that area in a really long time, because even not in that area, even in Nashville, I can't be down there without feeling unsafe, because it was just such a trauma. If it can happen to, you know, my husband, who's to say it's not just going to happen to me? So
I wanted to ask, did you talk to a doctor about what drug has this kind of effect of making somebody so angry?
I've done my research, and what people are using to drug people at these bars and stuff that has come up are ketamine and PCP, or maybe even a concoction. And that's kind of what I've narrowed it down to, based off of the effects and how I felt, you know, from the story is like I felt invincible. I walked fine. I was not in the right state of mind.
You would never look at him, if you were to see him out on the street and you didn't know Kyle and how he was interacting with people and with me, you would never think that he was drugged. Like he held it together. He wasn't stumbling, he wasn't slurring, he was so with it until I could like literally get him by himself and look him in his eyes, and he was like looking through me. And I think that was, we were doing our research. I talked to, I know a couple people on who's a paramedic in Nashville, and they're saying it's a lot of PCP, ketamine, and those drugs are out of your system in like 4 to 6 hours. And I mean, even by the time you go to get a drug test, say you wake up 12 hours later, it's not going to show up. They're smart, they know. And, you know, my biggest thing was during this whole thing that's happened to us, my biggest thing is I'm saying we need to advocate for, let's be better. Like, we have all these bars on Broadway. You know, why not put a little walk-in clinic right there? You can walk in, we have all of these tax dollars money. We don't need another bar on Broadway. We need somewhere where people can be safe. They can find out, have I been drugged? Is it just I'm drinking too much? I can get an IV. I'm in a safe space, and once I'm safe, I can be released. Like, why aren't we doing that? Why aren't we advocating for these people? Why aren't we advocating for the tourists? We're putting the blame on the people who are getting drugged, not the people who are drugging us or who are protecting, like, the people who own the establishments. So that's my thing. Let's be better. Let's advocate for those victims, and let's do something about it instead of protecting everybody but us.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so if there is this roofing problem in Nashville, what is the city actually doing about it? We talked to city officials and city leaders who say they want to get ahead of it. They're working with police, they're working with hospitals, they've even created a task force.
You go on TikTok and there's all sorts of stories about people being roofied in Nashville. Has this become a major issue?
So over the last several years, we have seen a lot of those. We have been contacted to do a lot of stories about that, and we've heard a lot of people say that they've been roofied. That was back in 2021 where it really kind of hit a peak, and we started to address that as a city and started a task force. But yes, we have heard that, and we acknowledge that that can absolutely be an issue.
What are some of the stories that, like, what are sort of the general gist of the stories that you've heard?
I mean, just basically somebody goes into a busy bar. Downtown has tens of thousands of people going in and out of bars every evening, and just they turn their head, or they weren't sure even how, they don't know who or how, but that they believe that somebody slipped something in their drink, and they started to immediately feel the effects of incapacitation. So one of the things about drink drugging is it mirrors being incredibly intoxicated. And that's one of the reasons it's hard to know if somebody's really drunk or if they've actually been drugged, because they have the same effect, which is why people use the drugs that they do. So somebody may say, I only had 1 or 2 drinks and then I was falling over. I couldn't stand. It was hard to speak. And their friends are with them, notice that, and they have to like physically pick them up and take them places, or, you know, something happens. And the most unfortunate, obviously, outcome is sexual assault, particularly drugs being used for sexual assault.
What do you think the motivation is most of the time behind these folks coming in and roofing others?
So I obviously can't speak to everybody's motivation, but what we do see is a lot of outcomes would be sexual assaults and people being robbed. Those are the 2 most common outcomes, but it also seems that there are some that are just, we don't know what the reason is, that they may have just been with a spouse or a partner or a group of friends and they believe that this happened and we don't know why.
Is it hard to quantify how often this is happening?
It's almost impossible
And why is that?
because the drugs metabolize through somebody's system so quickly that once they get to the point, especially if they're on their own and they believe that they've been drugged and they're able to say, I think I've been drugged, that a lot of the drugs that are used are already out of their system. So you can run a drug test on them. And if they've used the restroom or it's been more than 6 to 8 hours, then there's no way of actually knowing what happened.
Do you think because the city's being more open about it, it makes it seem like the problem is worse here than, say, Vegas or Miami?
Absolutely. Because we openly talk about our numbers. We say, we understand that this is a problem. If we didn't believe that it was happening, the city wouldn't be spending, hundreds of $1,000s. It wouldn't have dedicated a police department specifically for. And so the police unit, the entertainment district unit that is down here specifically, I am part of the orientation trainings. I train them on Safe Bar. I talk to them about this issue, tell them how to respond. So the investment and even other partners, like we have a partner here called Red Frogs, they have a tent that they charge people's phone, they walk people to their car, they give water and they give candy, and it's like a little sobering tent. And we're trying to find ways in our city to expand them as well. So yes, I think anytime you're saying we acknowledge that this is a problem and we're going to try to address it, other cities could easily say like, this isn't a problem here, but are you digging in to find out what the problem actually is?
What drugs are they using? Do you know?
The two most common are ketamine and GHB. There's obviously rohypnol. Fentanyl can be used in a little bit in order to actually intensify the effects. So you use less GHB and rohypnol if you put a tiny bit of fentanyl, but then you're also risking overdose by fentanyl and not knowing exactly what it is. But those are the most common.
And how does it happen? I mean, is someone just sitting at a bar and they just start looking?
So there is a young lady out of Florida, and they actually are the ones that they created a scrunchie that goes over your drink where you can kind of keep it from being spiked if you go out. And she has a video where she walks around in bars and slips candy in people's drinks. And sometimes an entire pack of Smarties, not like a tiny small thing. And people don't notice, they don't see it, and they'll pick up their drink and take a sip with a pack of Smarties in there. When there's so many people in an area and everyone's just talking and bumping into each other and, you're like this, and it's actually really easy to slip something in somebody's drink. And that's why we provide drug detection cards so people can test for at least the two most common. And then also we provide drink toppers where people can cover their drink. And we just encourage people to do what they can. But the real problem is the people that are doing this, not to blame the people who get drugged, because it's not their fault.
What would your top tips be for people going out?
My top tip would be don't be a person that drugs other people's drinks.
Tell me what made you guys decide to be involved with being part of this program.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think first and foremost, hospitality is, it's about the customer, the guest experience, and people are coming out to celebrate, have a good time, make connections, do those things. And at the end of the day, sometimes, unfortunately, lines get crossed. And I think it's important, and it's almost our responsibility to ensure that that's recognized in the establishment. And if you're not making the patrons feel safe and you're not making your own team feel safe, then you're just failing at the heart of hospitality.
Why do you think more bars don't want to get involved the way you have?
Oh, I mean, I hope plenty of bars are getting involved, and I think since we were kind of stepped up and started doing it initially, you've seen a lot more do it. I think probably just not enough people talk about it and even know that it's an option out there. So just raising awareness and making more people know that training's available. I think one of the great parts about the SAC and working with them has been how do you take that intention and turn it into action and really give your team the tools, the know-how to step up when it counts and help make a difference in these situations.
Have your bartenders or you noticed anything strange happen?
Oh yeah, if y'all see, there's angel shot posters in our bathrooms, and luckily it's not, it doesn't happen with great frequency, but you'll have folks stop by and say, hey, do you have one of those drug detection coasters? Or, hey, I'm not feeling comfortable right now. Would you mind reaching out to somebody for me on my behalf that, order an angel shot? But yeah, we're lucky. We intentionally, the way we've done our bar is to be mindful of that and to try to create a safe place and let it be known that it's a safe place for folks. So, and we're a little bit smaller venue, so it makes it a little bit easier.
So the bartenders know if someone orders an angel shot. What does that mean?
Yeah, so if a patron comes up, orders an angel shot, and again, I think that's always important. We always remind ourselves it could be male, it could be female, it doesn't matter. That means that they need that's the I guess the undercover word, if you will, that person in that moment, for whatever reason, is feeling uncomfortable, and that our staff needs to reach out and find police officer, fire, somebody in the fire department, somebody, a law enforcement person that can help with that situation. So, and then they also don't let them out of their sight. They keep them at the bar. Hopefully, there's a friend with that person too that helps navigate that situation.
So when someone gets roofied, and I don't know if you've ever looked on your cameras or seen it, like what is it? Is it just someone very quickly like putting their hand over? Like what does it sort of look like when you've seen it?
Yeah, I think I haven't personally seen it. I just being in the bar industry and talking to folks, I think that's kind of one of the hardest parts of it. Is it can happen very fast and very quickly, and unfortunately, we do a great job who we hire and paying attention to those things. But a lot of times too, you can get the staff that's involved in that part too, depending on how what you do with your own companies. But yeah, I mean, it happens very quickly while somebody's distracted, or you just, hey, I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick, or you laughing or you're clapping because of a show going on. It doesn't take much for somebody to sort of lose focus and have it happen. The bartenders have great intuition, and I mean, if you've ever stood in a bar or been behind the bar, it isn't. They're great at recognizing, I mean, whether somebody's just been served too much beer or too much alcohol, or if there is a situation that's brewing, and we train them to kind of circulate throughout the crowds just to kind of be mindful and watching and looking for those things. So the bartender intuition, as we call it, they're great about doing that and looking for those instances where they protect guests.
It sounds like hiring the right bartenders is a big part of this.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm a huge believer in getting the right people part of your team, and organizations matter, and not compromising on that, and really raising that standard of hospitality. And so, that's absolutely part of it. If you don't have, at the end of the day, all the great work Lorraine and that team is doing in the community, if we don't become part of that, you're not going to change the culture. So you got to have not only the ownership, the leadership bought in it, but you also need the folks who are there every day, every hour, serving those drinks, being a part of it too.
How big of an issue has drugging become here?
I think it's the same in Nashville as it is in any other major city. I mean, it's something that is concerning to the city anytime someone makes an allegation that they may or may not have been drugged. And so I think it's very important for us to investigate and get to the bottom of every allegation that comes along.
How serious does the city take it?
I think we take it very, very seriously. I think one of the things that we do really well is that we have open communication across numerous departments. And so we share data and information with each other. And so because of that, I think we're able to address a lot of the issues that pop up regarding alleged druggings and things of that nature.
We've heard these reports that victims will get to the hospital and not necessarily be able to get a test, and the drugs leave your system so quickly. Is the city doing anything to address that?
I think it's something that's critically important. As you said, the drugs do leave your system very quickly. And so, we've tried to coordinate with different hospitals around the city to make sure that testing is available. Some have been a little more forthcoming with that than others, and so it's just something that we try to work with all the hospitals to address. I think it's always critical that individuals come out here and have a good time, but also remember that this is a major city. And so I think a lot of people come here because they love the hospitality that Nashville has to offer, but it is a big city, so you need to come out, have a plan, keep your friends close by, and just use common sense, and you'll be fine.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.